Hi. I just wanted to say hello. Yes, this is one of my parents. This is my Sarah, my great friend and esteemed colleague. I want to say welcome, Brandi Mitchell. She's a brand strategist and president of Chorus Media. Thank you so much for coming to speak with me today, Brandi. I do appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank Awesome, awesome. So I'm too excited. So I'm just trying to calm down. Okay. So I just want to give you a little background. So Brandy has a wonderful son. His name is Corey, and I had the pleasure of teaching Corey for several years before he went off to college, and I wanted to, just kind of talk with you about his experience. He just completed his freshman year at Florida A&M University. Yay, awesome. So that was great. I wanted to just kind of just follow up with you as far as how he's doing and things of that nature. So what I wanted to do is ask you, before you started taking lessons with me, what was the atmosphere like, and what were the things that you saw was missing with Corey that you needed to get a little extra boost or extra help?
Well, first off, we came from, I'm a clarinet player myself. So I, was always passionate about it. So he kind of, followed in my footsteps. But the thing that was significantly different in his journey was that he changed school systems. And when he changed the system that he went into, many of those kids from, I would say, from middle school were all receiving private lessons like very early on in age. So he got into the band and he immediately wanted to go up in rank position first of all and be in the top band. And we were immediately
Ooh.
instructed that the only way that you can do that, 90 something percent of the people in this band get private lessons. So you were the first person I thought
Mm-hmm.
of. Because I just know how amazing you are. But it was kind of like one of these things where it was like, listen, if he's going to excel in life, he is going to have these private lessons. So that was the first thing. It was, I came to you in a sense of urgency because it was really like, okay, they have already told me that this is the only way he's going to progress. So that was the first step. And then I think, um, you know, I always had in my mind the idea of him receiving a music scholarship. I always have been of the belief that, your talents and your abilities, what can you do with those things that you have so that you can make life easier for you. So that was a big deal to me. So I had both of those things that were urgencies for me. It was, okay, I got to get him on par so that he can compete with this new level of students that he's, competing with. And then secondly, I need to prepare him for college scholarships. It was a huge big deal. So I just came in a state of urgency when we first started. So that was the before. So the after, through.
All right, that's great. That's amazing. So now, I know I work with Corey. I think when did I meet Corey? Ninth grade,
Yeah, I think
ninth, tenth
it was
grade.
it was at least ninth to 10th grade.
Yeah. So so in our program, yeah, in our program, that's actually considered late. A lot of my students, I like to start in like fifth and sixth grade. So when I met Corey, I already knew it's like, wow, he's a very, very talented young man, and I mean, already ready to play everything. And I tell parents all the time, it's like, if you're going to send me high school students, they got to be ready to go ahead and do the work because we're kind of racing against the clock as opposed, when we get ready to compete for college scholarships. So can you tell me what happened as a result of us working together, within his preparation?
Yeah, so Corey, he first of all, he got into the highest band. As he matriculated through school, he got into the Wind Symphony, which is considered the highest band. That's a big deal, for him to be able to be in that. And might I add, as one of the only African American males in there, I want to say that maybe there were only two to three, and he was one of the two to three. So I still think that's a big accomplishment. And then secondly, he got like the highest tiered scholarship to Florida A&M University, who has a stellar music program. It's extremely competitive. And he got, not only did he
Mm-hmm.
get the highest tier scholarship, but he also, as a freshman, got put in the highest tier band. Huge. And
Awesome.
actually had his own solo. Who does that as a freshman? Had his own little solo where he was recognized and stood up the whole bit. So, he got, I
Oh
want,
wow.
yeah, so that's, I mean, in comparison, as it being my alma mater and in a system that I'm familiar with, I understand how difficult it is to do that. And I know that he would not have been able to achieve that had he not worked with you. So thank you. And my pockets, thank you.
Awesome. Let's talk about those pockets. Let me see. So level one scholarship. If you don't mind me asking, so like particularly with since and just let's say for the record, we're not in Florida, so we had to work on out of state fees and all that kind of stuff like that. So right now, what I did the math. Out of state tuition for a state university is around like $20,000 a year. You know, and for him to get like a level one scholarship, that for him to get a level one scholarship, let's just say maybe that's like 12,000 a year. You know, that's kind of taking off from your out of state fee waivers, your tuition, your room and board. And so I wanted to know, how does it feel that you don't have that burden of having to pay all that money just because, all due to the fact that your son has a skill now that pays for college for you, that you don't have to worry about making sure that he gets through and you have the finances to do so.
Absolutely. I mean, so again, from life experience, that was not my experience. My experience was that I had to take out loans. My experience was that I was put in a position that well after I graduate, I was paying back loans. So I was adamant about looking at what would be the way so that he could be able to have a fresh start on life. That was what I was just really
Mm-hmm.
adamant about. So it's huge to be able to have that scholarship money for him to be able to get an education. He switched his major. He's a music major now, and it's a financial burden that
Wow.
just like really has been lifted off of our shoulders, and he appreciates it more now. I think kids in the beginning, they don't really understand it as much, but he appreciates the fact that wow, what you asked me to stick with, and what I invested all these
Mm-hmm.
hours of practice with actually is something that is paying my way to go to college.
Mm, definitely. So, tell me this: like, what would you tell a parent that's kind of like on the fence, particularly learning virtually? I know, of course, in these uncertain times, we really don't really have a choice. But I think that from the outset, it's like it'll be harder to learn from a virtual setting than you would in an in-person setting. So, what would you tell a parent about learning virtually and this kind of like easing the concerns that my child won't get the same result learning in this type of format versus an in-person format.
Well, so I'm a huge advocate of virtual learning, just in general. I do much of my own training with people in business virtually, and with learning an instrument, it actually is an amazing way because you're not doing the commuting, that normally takes up a whole lot of time. You're not doing that. You can be and they can be in their own atmosphere learning. It's still a very interactive environment because it's like you still have the full attention of you when you're working with them, and they still are, and you're able to hear them very well, so you don't lose anything in terms of the learning experience. If anything, to me, it's enhanced because they're in a controlled, very comfortable environment. So they're still held accountable. So for us, it worked amazing. The virtual learning part was amazing because it's very predictable. Again, you save a lot of time. No commuting. The child, and especially in today's, what we're experiencing right now, it is becoming standard that they learn that way anyway. So it's definitely an advantage, and I'd highly recommend it to any parent. It is the to me, it is the most beneficial, I would say, the thing that pays off the most all through life, in terms of just a musical instrument. It pays off through your entire life. So it was well worth the investment.
Definitely. Well, I really, really, really appreciate you getting a chance to talk to the parents today. So definitely, I thank you so much, and I just wanted to please extend my hugs. I cannot wait until I can hug my students again. So if you can just give a nice, big squeeze and hug to Corey, I do greatly appreciate it. I do thank you so much, for jumping on and talking with me today.
Absolutely. We really really appreciate everything that you did for us and our family. And we would recommend you 50 million times again. Like, you're the best. I'm not just saying that. You really are the best.
She really is not just saying that. She's from Detroit. Detroit, what? No,
Yeah, yeah. Detroit doesn't
they
play.
don't. It's not. No, she tell the truth. She tell the truth. If it ain't right, it ain't
That's right. That's right.
right. hmm Thank you so much. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.